Ventriloquism, or ventriloquy, is an act of stagecraft in which a person, a ventriloquist, changes his or her voice so that it appears that the voice is coming from elsewhere, usually a puppeteered dummy. The act of ventriloquism is ventriloquizing, and the ability to do so is commonly called in English the ability to throw one's voice. History. Origins. Originally, ventriloquism was a religious practice. The name comes from the Latin for to speak from the stomach, that is venter, belly, and loci, speak. The Greeks called this gastromancy. The noises produced by the stomach were thought to be the voices of the unliving, who took up residence in the stomach of the ventriloquist. The ventriloquist would then interpret the sounds, as they were thought to be able to speak to the dead, as well as foretell the future. One of the earliest recorded group of prophets to utilize this technique was the Pythia, the priestess at the temple of Apollo in Delphi, who acted as the conduit for the Delphic oracle. One of the most successful early gastromancers was Eurycles, a prophet at Athens. Gastromancers came to be referred to as Euryclides in his honor. In the Middle Ages, it was thought to be similar to witchcraft. As spiritualism led to stage magic and escapology, so ventriloquism became more of a performance art as, starting around the 19th century, it shed its mystical trappings. Other parts of the world also have a tradition of ventriloquism for ritual or religious purposes. Historically, there have been adepts of this practice among the Zulu, Inuit, and Maori peoples. Emergence as entertainment. The shift from ventriloquism as manifestation of spiritual forces toward ventriloquism as entertainment happened in the 18th century at the traveling fun fairs and market towns. The earliest example of a ventriloquist dates back to 1753 in England, where Sir John Parnell is depicted in an engraving of William Hogarth as speaking via his hand. In 1757, the Austrian Baron de Mingen is known to have implemented a small doll into his performance. By the late 18th century, ventriloquist performances were an established form of entertainment in England, although most performers threw their voice to make it appear that it emanated from far away, rather than the modern method of using a puppet. A well-known ventriloquist of the period, Joseph Skins, who performed at the Sadler's Wells Theatre in London in the 1790s, advertised his act as curious ad libitum dialogues between himself and his invisible familiar, Little Tommy. However, other performers were beginning to incorporate dolls or puppets into their performance, notably the Irishman James Byrne, who carries in his pocket an ill-shaped doll, with a broad face, which he exhibits as giving utterance to his own childish jargon, and Thomas Garbutt. The entertainment came of age during the era of the music hall in the United Kingdom and vaudeville in the United States. George Sutton began to incorporate a puppet act into his routine at Nottingham in the 1830s, but it is Fred Russell who is regarded as the father of modern ventriloquism. In 1886, he was offered a professional engagement at the Palace Theatre in London and took up his stage career permanently. His act, based on the cheeky boy dummy coster Joe that would sit in his lap and engage in a dialogue with him, was highly influential for the entertainment format and was adopted by the next generation of performers. A blue plaque has been embedded in a former residence of Russell by the British Heritage Society which reads, "Fred Russell, the father of ventriloquism, lived here." Fred Russell's successful comedy team format was applied by the next generation of ventriloquists. It was taken forward by the British Arthur Prince with his dummy Sailor Jim, who became one of the highest paid entertainers on the music hall circuit, and by the Americans the Great Lester, Frank Byron, Jr., and Edgar Bergen. Bergen popularized the idea of the comedic ventriloquist. Bergen, together with his favorite figure, Charlie McCarthy, hosted a radio program that was broadcast from 1937 to 1956. It was the program on the nights it aired. Bergen continued performing until his death in 1978, and his popularity inspired many other famous ventriloquists who followed him, including Paul Winkel, Jimmy Nelson, David Strassman, Jeff Dynam, Terry Fader, Shari Lewis, Willie Tyler and Jay Johnson. Another ventriloquist popular in the United States in the 1950s and 1960s was Senor Wences. The art of ventriloquism was popularized by Y.K. Pad in North India and M. Roy in South India, who were believed to be the pioneers of this field in India. Y.K. Pad's son Ramdas Pad borrowed from him and made the art popular amongst the masses through his performance on television. Ramdas Pad's son Satyajit Pad is also a ventriloquist. Similarly, Vinky Monkey and Mimicry Srinivos, the disciples of M. Roy, popularized this art by giving shows in India and abroad. Mimicrist Srinivos, in particular, did several experiments in ventriloquism. He has popularized this art, calling it sound illusion. He goes into the audience without a microphone and entertains with point-blank sound illusion in addition to entertaining on stage with dummies, an ability of less skilled practitioners to pronounce bottle of beer. If variations of the sounds th, d, t, and n are spoken quickly, it can be difficult for listeners to notice a difference. Ventriloquist's dummy. Modern ventriloquists utilize a variety of different types of puppets in their presentations, ranging from soft cloth or foam puppets. Verna Finley's work is a pioneering example, flexible latex puppets, such as Steve Axtell's creations, and the traditional and familiar hard-headed knee figure, Tim Selberg's mechanized carvings. The classic dummies used by ventriloquists, the technical name for which is ventriloquial figure, vary in size anywhere from 12 inches tall to human size and larger, with the height usually falling between 34 and 42 inches. Traditionally, this type of puppet has been made from papier mâché or wood. In modern times, other materials are often employed, including fiberglass reinforced resins, urethanes, filled, rigid, latex, and neoprene. Great names in the history of dummy making include Jeff Dunham, Frank Marshall, the Chicago creator of Bergen's Charlie McCarthy, Nelson's Danny O'Day, and Winkel's Jerry Mahoney. Theo Mack and Son. Mack carved Charlie McCarthy's head. Ravello Petey, Kenneth Spencer, Cecil Goff, and Glenn and George McElroy. Fear of ventriloquists dummies. Fear of ventriloquists dummies is called automatanophobia. It also includes fear of wax dummies or animatronic creatures. Films and programs which refer to dummies that are alive include Magic, Dead of Night, The Twilight Zone, Poltergeist, Devil Doll, Dead Silence, Child's Play, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Goosebumps, Seinfeld, the episode The Chicken Roaster, ALF, the episode I'm Your Puppet, and Doctor Who in different episodes. Literary examples of frightening ventriloquist dummies include Gerald Kirsch's The Horrible Dummy and the story The Glass Eye by John Keir Cross.